if you see me sleeping on a couch over here off to the side, you'll know why. But I have to say, you folks are in the house right now. You've made a very smart decision to come and see this early show today, because when we showed this picture in San Francisco a few weeks ago, this was definitely the discovery of the festival for the audiences. It kind of blew people away, not only because it's a terrific film, but because it's a film that most people are completely unaware of. Whether it truly fits into the noir scheme of things is very, very debatable, but those of you who've been coming to this festival for a long time know that I will stretch the definition of noir if I think the film is something that people really should have an opportunity to see. Noir is a wonderfully elastic thing in that way, right? I know it when I see it, and even if I see it and I really don't think it's noir, I still might show it, just because. And I'm sure once you've seen the movie, you will completely understand. In the lobby beforehand, some folks came up to me and they were talking about, have you ever seen the film Wicked Woman? And I said, oh yes, I know that film very well. And I said, did you realize that Wicked Woman was made by the same guy who made the movie you are about to see, Russell Rouse, who's a very, very interesting character in film history, and fits his sweet spot in his career is exactly where we're at this year with this festival. It was the 1950s. He is also the man with his writing partner, Clarence Green, who is responsible for a movie made the previous year. The film before this was DOA, which is almost definitive noir in many ways. And then they had a great success with that, produced by these two brothers, Leo and Harry Popkin, who also are a somewhat forgotten footnote to film history. But the Popkins were really interesting because they were film exhibitors. They had a chain of theaters, and then they decided they wanted to create their own product. So starting in the late 1940s, they became movie producers. And in some cases, in Leo's case at least, he was a co-director of several movies as well. Now, some places you will see him listed as the co-director of this film, and I had seen no evidence for that assertion. I believe this is, the screenplay is written by Russell Rouse and Clarence Green, and Russell Rouse is the director of this movie. In 1949, there was an incident in Santa Maria, California, where a little girl named Kathy Fiscus fell down a well. And it created a media sensation. And at that time, that would have been mostly newspapers, but it became a thing on early television. They sent a lot of television crews out there to document the rescue attempts of little Kathy Fiscus. Now, obviously, Russell Rouse and Clarence Green were tracking this and said, boy, this would be an interesting basis for a film, as was, no doubt, Billy Wilder, who saw the media attention that was fixated on this rescue attempt, which gave him the idea for Ace in the Hole with Kirk Douglas, but he backtracked and went back to the earlier mining disaster where Floyd Collins was trapped in, I think it was 1929, and that really turned into one of the earliest media circuses in America. And Billy Wilder chose to take this idea in a different direction, making this excoriating film about the callousness of people and early media hype and all of this stuff. Russell Rouse and Clarence Green went in a different direction because their inspiration, their stroke of genius with this film was that they made the little girl black. And they set it in a small town. It was shot in Northern California. And they used this as a jumping off point to discuss relations between the races in America at the time. And I love showing this film as a sort of a kickoff to this whole exploration of 1950s America, because this is an independently made film. You will see why. They do things in this film. They are brutally frank in some respects, and the studio would never have made this film. But all credit to the Popkin brothers and to Rouse and Green for being so forthright, even though in the third reel it becomes something different, but it's absolutely stunning. The climax of this movie is absolutely fantastic. The film was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Screenplay. It was nominated also for Best Editing, which you will see why when it gets to the climax of the film. And it bear with parts of it, because this is a very low budget, very highly ambitious film, shot on location, and they utilized as many African American actors and actresses as they could find, many of them unprofessional. A lot of the cast is unprofessional. They were just local folks in Marysville and Yuba City where they shot the film. And there are no big stars. Richard Rover, who played Tony Laredo last night in The File on Thelma Jordan, gets to be the good guy in this film, the sheriff trying to hold the town together through this tumultuous event. And those of you who are real noir heads will love the appearance of Harry Morgan, who of course went on to do Dragnet and you know, MASH and all that stuff on television. But this is a great role for Harry Morgan, who was usually playing heavies in noir films of this period. And it's a little different role for him today, and he aces it. It's really terrific. So I'm thrilled that you've come out to watch this film. I know you're going to want to talk about it amongst yourselves or with me, whatever, afterwards. And I'm thrilled that we're able to show it. I'm disappointed that we're not showing it in 35mm because it doesn't really exist in 35mm anymore. That's a long story that I won't go into now. But sometimes you just have to make do with what you can get. So you're actually watching a DVD today of this film. Hopefully in the future, there will be a chance of rescuing this film and restoring it as a 35mm film. That is a goal of the foundation. We have to be patient with this one. But thank you very much for coming out to see this film today. You are in for an experience. Russell Rouse and Clarence Green and the Popkin Brothers, The Well.